I'm here with two of my favorite people on the planet, no joke, Chad Jenkins, Katie Rubino, and we're talking about one of my favorite topics. Chad's favorite topic is collaboration.
Hmm.
Katie and I's is IP. But
Hmm.
Chad, we're just going to tee it up by saying that every new collaboration creates IP. So
Yes, absolutely.
unpack that for Katie and I.
Yeah, sure. So honestly, it's the shortest path to creating IP. If you want to just kind of add some sugar on top,
That's
and the
cool.
reason that I say that is every time that you combine, you create. And I
Mm,
would argue that the reason that we're all here is to collect, to combine, and to create. Just being on the planet, we come with nothing, we leave with nothing. That's our job while we're here. The wonderful thing about collaboration is when I take it as a growth strategy, I began to jump the lunch line. So I began to collapse time on the road to success. And then a byproduct of doing that, combining what you already have with what something someone else already has, creates an emergent. Not one time, not sometimes, every time. And
wow.
so whenever you're doing that, you're not having to go back into the woodshed or to the manufacturing, to engineering, or to draftsman and come up with a great idea and then engineer it and try to manufacture it or try to build it. You're literally just combining. But by doing so, you create that emergent. That emergent ultimately creates IP.
So good. Katie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that because I think so often when you bring two or multiple parties together in a
Hmm.
collaboration, you have so many more new creative ideas because
Yes.
everybody's coming up with new things. And then together you're creating even more new
Hmm.
ideas and new innovations. And I think that's why the IP becomes so crucial and at the center of it because there's just you're magnifying the strength of the creativity and the innovation happening too.
Yeah. And certainly extending the length of the monetization of it, right? By securing
Right.
that IP on the very front.
Exactly.
Chad, I know Katie and I and you are familiar with the Tiffany Nike collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that happened a little bit ago. But why don't you unpack that from your perspective, and Katie can unpack it from the IP perspective. So, why did Nike and Tiffany's, like, why does that even make sense? Two things that seem very polarized, but
Yeah, exactly.
there.
Yeah. So, with any collaboration, you always start with the hero target. And
Mm,
to define hero target is who do you want this outcome to be a hero to? Who's it going to positively impact and create value for? So starting with that, some someone smart at either Nike or Tiffany, or they paid some management consultant who could see horizontal and not just vertical, said, you
mm.
know what, there might be a good idea here. I've recognized some commonality in who both your brands serve.
Hero target start with. Okay, that makes sense.
Always
Yeah,
start with the hero target. Yeah. If you don't, this is not a collaboration
I
for
love it.
sure. And you shouldn't expect it to last very long or be that's very successful. But
That's
whenever you
great.
start with what's in it for them being the hero target, and as I mentioned earlier, someone either at either one of those organizations or they paid somebody $500,000 for a very nice PowerPoint that actually had some intelligence behind it, which is when you two combine, you create something that no one else could, and you add value to who you already serve. And the
Wow.
good thing is, you guys are already doing it today. In essence, what do I mean? You guys make shoes, or you design shoes, and you have this iconic blue that is known worldwide to a certain demographic. So if you just combine both of those together, you will have a shoe. And let me make sure I'm getting this right. You guys were designing shoes yesterday, right? Yes. Okay. So you're already
Mm,
doing this. And alternatively, Tiffany's, you didn't just invent this blue this morning when we started this conversation. It's been around for a while. Yes.
whoa.
So all you're doing is smashing them together. When I said earlier, our job is to collect, which is by default happens every day that you wake up, you're going to collect one of four things, and often you collect all four:
Mm,
relationships because you met someone new,
mm.
awarenesses because you were just present, and now you know something at today it's 9:33 in the morning. You became aware of something that you were not aware of at 9 a.m. this morning. That just happens naturally. knowledge because you read something. Maybe you went to a website. Maybe you had a chat with GPT. And lastly, experiences. So those things happen by default. Over here, they're combining, which is what you saw both Nike and Tiffany did. And when they did another automatic outcome, which is the emergent, is the creation. And you showed it here on the screen.
I love
It's
it.
not super complicated, and we didn't have to pay a bunch of folks to come and help us come up with this idea.
That's
This
mind
exists
blowing.
all around you. Yeah.
Katie, it's almost like Chad's model is you create money out of thin air. Because,
Right.
because like you just said, Tiffany's making cash confident products, Nike's making cash confident products. Probably some people that love Nike never bought Tiffany's, and some people that buy Tiffany's never bought Nike. Is that true?
That's exactly right. Especially as much of a global reach as both have, and the demographic horizontal that they support, there's going to be cross-pollination immediately, like with their core. But then you have all these flange benefits of now you're getting exposure, both brands, to what's on the outskirts of their core. Hugely impactful. And it reminds me a little bit, and I don't know the market cap increase for both of these, but the Skims and Nike, we'll bring Nike's name back into it, because you're starting to see a pattern with certain organizations that have wised up. It's like, oh, we don't have to create everything by ourselves. Therefore, and as well, and this is the big learning for all small to medium-sized business entrepreneurs. You don't have to own it all.
Well,
that's a big difference.
Yeah. Katie, I know you see IP everywhere. Talk about, even on this Tiffany page, what's technically IP. I mean, from our book, don't we say that it's the color?
Right. The color, and probably too this new branding where both trademarks are now used together, because that's a new feature, right? Okay. And I think when companies are first entering into these agreements, they're so excited to get going. And I'd say a pitfall I see happen is that they don't define the IP rights. Right? Who's going to own what?
Yes.
And then they don't think too, if the collaboration winds down or there's a breakup, what happens if we jointly owned this IP? What do we want that to look like? So I think just thinking that through from the beginning and having those kind of a little bit of awkward conversations, but just to clarify everybody's expectations so everyone's on the same page and knows what it's going to look like too, becomes important also.
Yeah, it's a great point, Katie, for sure.
And Chad, much less awkward before money's involved to have the chat about foreground and background IP.
Yes.
Because Katie just nailed it. Like, I don't know, maybe they did a joint trademark where you see it here, and maybe, this new mark is something. Certainly the shoe box. I mean, Tiffany's never made a box that big for jewelry, I could imagine. So Katie, you're saying that, and notice they put the Tiffany blue box with an R. So I see IP everywhere. It's like the structure behind it's invisible, but those of us who are trained can pick it up. But to Chad's point, it's money out of thin air.
All these things already exist, right?
Right.
So we just look at what you have, and go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, for anyone who's listening, if you take stock and inventory of what you already have, and you begin to run this program of what happens when I combine what I have with what someone else has, it's very funny. It reminds me of Dean Jackson's quote: "Always show up at the receiving dock, not the procurement office."
Well, I don't understand. Help me understand.
All the money in an organization is already spoken for. So if you're coming to an organization and you're trying to sell something, all the money is already spoken for. What we realized in just thinking deeply about this is future money is up for grabs. So if you show up at the
Look,
receiving
you
dock,
show
I'll
them.
put it a little bit of context. If a solicitor comes to the front door and presses your doorbell in 2026, how fast does anyone in this house get up and move? Do
Mhm.
they get up, and do they actually even move? If you let the Amazon man show up and drop a package on the front, that's a way different outcome. They don't move like they did 5 years ago. At least my two daughters don't. But they will get up and go get that package.
So it's
That's
adding
an
value
example.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you're showing up at the receiving dock. So you're showing up to create value. You're not asking for value. If you take
That's
stock and
cool.
inventory what you already have, and you
That's
run a program. Go
I'm
ahead.
going to share that with my college students.
Mhm.
Right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, that's why you get no all the time, because you're saying,
Can I?
I
Can
need,
I?
I need, I
Yes.
need. So I
Yeah.
teach show up filled up. You're
Yeah.
showing
That's
at the doorstep full. That's
That makes a
cool.
lot of sense. Yeah. And in doing so, as I mentioned earlier, if you just take stock in what you already have and run this program of what happens when I show up to give it to Katie. I'm running the program. It costs me no money. I own this, whatever it is that you have.
Mm.
And if you're running the program of what happens when I give, and if I'm going to get, I'm combining with what Kary has or what Katie has.
Yeah.
And it's just the natural curiosity of what emergent is created when that happens. Well, I can tell you each and every time that you do it, there is an emergent, and oftentimes it's a pretty high value emergent. The reference that I had earlier was Skims and Nike. In less than 24 hours, 5.7 billion of market cap created. I
Oh
don't
my
know if
gosh.
there's a faster strategy to creating true value and wealth than combining. And to both your guys' point, and I love like what you're doing for all of my collab partners, giving them the opportunity to capture their IP with instant IP.
Mhm.
And then, of course, elevating to a patent and securing that from the word go. You're literally creating sometimes generational wealth, and they don't
Wow.
know it yet. And this is an opportunity for each and every entrepreneur who's listening to this. Run the program and secure it with instant IP. And as it begins to monetize, working with Katie, of course, you know exactly what the IP strategy should be over long term to maximize that asset.
Katie, I almost look at our collaboration as a microcosm. In other words, I had the publishing experience and the publishing company. You had the lawyer, legal. I knew co-writing with you would be so smart, because people would look at me and be like, that joker's not a legal expert, you know?
Yeah.
But now they look and say, whoa, that's one of the top IP lawyers.
Yes.
It's only brought so much value for me. And hopefully, Katie, you're seeing like I've been opening the door to refer people who get IP aware, and then
Yes.
they say, I need a trademark or a patent.
Mhm.
Right. When I just think too, when you collaborate like that too, you just create and multiply so many more opportunities
Yes.
that you don't exist when it's just you, right? Because
Mhm.
then you get to tap into somebody else's network, right? And
Yes.
they have people you need to meet, and you have
Yes.
people they need to meet. And it just multiplies the connectivity of the two parties too, that you otherwise don't get when you're just alone in a silo there.
Well, you bring up such a great point, Katie. You think of the marketing budget that each and every one entrepreneur that's listening to this or will listen to this has a percentage of revenue. It's going to be between 6 and probably 12 of all their top line dollars. Why are they investing those dollars? Is to multiply what they already have. They have teams, they make products, they have warehouses, they have logistics. They're spending and investing these dollars in marketing to multiply. And what we've outlined here on the call, not one time, but many times, there is no other leverage like collaboration. And that is before you bring the IP component to it. So leveraging collaboration, showing up to be a giver, running that program. What happens when I just combine what I already have?
Yeah.
And then picking up the phone and calling, or meeting somebody at an industry show, or maybe at a little breakfast and saying, I was thinking, if we were to combine what I have with what you have, it's going to create more value for who we both serve. And by the way, it's going to give us both a competitive advantage. And I know this, Miss Katie or Mr. Kary, we can secure it with intellectual property. We'll work out how we own that, of course. But we just created a playing field with only one competitor on it. It's you guys. That's it.
And that goes into Dan Sullivan's recent word, you become competition free.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
nobody can compete with you
You're
because
not even playing the same game, guys. And I've so wanted, of course, my work is to help entrepreneurs truly understand this. You're competition free from the word go. Showing up to be a go-giver, understanding that collaboration creates an emergent each and every time, securing it with IP, there is no competition. They're all running and playing the same game and running the same program. It's competing.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so good. Katie, I know that in our book, we have your chapter, which is awesome. Background and foreground IP.
Mhm.
So Nike and Tiffany's would have gone to the marriage and said, hey, we're going to get married with like this collaboration, but this is all mine I'm bringing. This is all yours you're bringing. We're going to respect that. But then together, when we create new, that's going to be foreground IP that we mutually share. Is that the right way, Katie?
That's right. Yep. And a lot of times too, you want to think about it, that foreground IP where it runs into some issues is if it's jointly owned, right? Because if in the United States, especially in patent law, if it's jointly owned, then either party can exploit it, can monetize it, and you don't have to share that revenue with the other party.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, it can also create problems too if you want to go in, if one party wants to go enforce the patent against an infringer, because you have to get the other party who jointly owns that patent to sign on, and maybe they don't want to get involved in this huge litigation that could be multiple years, cost millions of dollars. So that's why getting these things negotiated properly and trying to kind of think through what are all the scenarios. If we are going to jointly own it, what does that ownership look like together? What are kind of the ground rules? Because if you don't put that in place, you're going to create a host of problems down the road.
Yeah. Just I'll say this, and then let's talk about our Boston event. But for people who can't or don't like Nike or Tiffany's, another example would be a Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran song.
Yes.
Where they come together and say, look, you have your audience. Look, I have my audience. My audience may hate you even, and your audience may hate me even, but they love us. We come together and people are like, oh my gosh, have you heard the Ed Sheeran Taylor Swift song? And now you actually gain, like you're saying, market share. Would you agree, Chad, that that's a similar
So often. Yes. And you see, so you do see collaborations, to your point, a lot more in the music industry as a whole. Yeah. And it's like the rest of us just hadn't got the memo. And I don't really understand why. Because if every example that I shared with you earlier, can you imagine how much money we invested to create those outcomes? Zero. These are things that you already have.
Right.
Like
whether it's Martha Stewart.
Ed Sheridan didn't just start singing tomorrow, right? When they decided to do this collaboration, he didn't decide, oh, he's going to be able to scratch out a tune. No, not at all. Same thing with Taylor Swift. These are existing assets that you already have.
Yeah.
You're simply combining them with somebody else's existing assets, wrapping intellectual property around it, and start playing on a field of one.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the margins are a lot better too.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And in Boston on May 20th, only 8 seats left because Nick Hutchinson and his integrator are now coming, which Chad, I can't wait to introduce you to him. He's in coach and he knows about you and you know about him a little bit. So we're going to connect you guys. But on May 20th, we'll talk about how to attract collaborations.
Yes.
Because I think there are some people, Chad, who if you don't think you have anything unique, if you don't know what your IP is, you are at a collaboration deficit. Instead, when you know you have IP, when you know your differentiation, now all of a sudden you become attractive for collaboration.
Absolutely.
So Chad, maybe 60 seconds for you and 60 seconds for Katie on why you're excited about May 20th, this IP mastermind. So Chad, you go first and then Katie.
Yeah, it's very easy for me because I'm fortunate to be able to see the impact and the emergent or the outcome. I spend my days speaking with entrepreneurs all over the world in every type of business and almost every place on the planet you could possibly imagine. And it is exactly the same outcome each and every time. When they began to lean in this direction, they realized they already have all that they need to create more than they ever wanted. And effort is not the way. Better combinations are. Wrapping it and starting out with an IP first strategy to this next jaunt of really maximizing the leverage that is immediately available to them, it gets me quite excited, because it doesn't take a lot of dots to connect for them to see how to start growing non-linearly. And as we mentioned a couple times, be on a playing field of one without competition and also without margin compression.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, the one that I get super excited about is the ones who are in commodity-based businesses. So they think, oh, our margin can only be, it's a race to the bottom right now. Those are the ones that, man, in first 5 to 10 minutes, you'll see the light bulbs go off in their head. It's like their entire life changed.
Wow.
If you just take what they perceive as a commodity-based business and combine it with somebody who is also serving their hero target, just from combining, they create this intellectual property, and this emergent becomes real, wrapping IP around that, and then starting to offer that to the market. No more margin compression.
And once your eyes are open, Katie, for collaboration, I see it everywhere. I mean, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll look at, oh my gosh, Skippy's Peanut Butter is partnering with Captain Crunch to create Peanut Butter Captain Crunch. There's a collaboration. Like, you just see it everywhere when your eyes are open. But Katie, what are you excited about? We're going to your office. We're going to be up in this amazing skyscraper. I've been there a few times. It's a beautiful boardroom. What are you excited about on this day?
I think I'm excited about meeting the entrepreneurs and having them unlock the value and open their eyes to all the IP they're creating. Because probably too, some of them are involved in collaborations, but they don't realize how much IP they've generated through that or the potential for that. So I think it's always exciting for them to hear these talks and meet other entrepreneurs and have shared experiences that come out of it too.
It's going to be so practical. I mean, people are literally going to walk away with, here's my IP. Now it's protected because we're giving away them 5 free incentive credits. And then they're going to be like, now I have collaboration currency. And that's Chad's word. So Chad, I'm so excited, Katie. And then I'm going to drop in a $1,500 off code. I'm going to announce it here just here at the podcast, but it's literally collab. Okay. So COLAB hyphen Boston. So if you check out instantip.today/Boston, and then the code is collab hyphen Boston, $1,500 off. It's almost free to attend based on that, because you're going to walk away with 5 credits. You're going to walk away with breakfast, with lunch, with a month free of the IP lab. So do it, folks. 8 seats left. Chad, your new book, tell us the title, and we're all going to get super excited. And thanks for publishing with us.
Yeah, sure. Once again, thank you very much. And as well, Miss Katie, thanks for all the help, as we have this patent pending now for the foundational element of exactly what the book is named, the code to collaboration. So collaboration is a word that we've all heard, sometimes to a default, or to a fault, I should say, that is used so many different ways. There's a purity to collaboration that it creates outcomes like no one can even imagine. We've talked about a couple of them here. So inside of the book, what I try to do with this one is map out, here's exactly what it is, why it is. Here's the differences between collaboration and partnership, which is wildly different. And here's how you can empower yourself today to begin to really leverage this ultimate leverage for entrepreneurs. And the good thing is, you already have everything you need to create more than you want if you just consider collaboration.
Love it. Chad, super excited to see you and to get this book out. Book comes out pretty soon?
Yeah. So I think it's around May the 15th is when we're launching it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Katie, thanks for being here. And Chad, thanks for being here as well.
Excited.